Hi everyone. I'm going to speak about four identity factors you didn't know you needed to support large organization in your SaaS. So let me introduce myself first. My name is Daizen. I'm a principal developer advocate at Auth0, and you can find me on Twitter at Neri78 or Blue Sky LinkedIn GitHub that shows in a slide. Before going to the topic, let me introduce my professional career as a background. So I started .NET developer in the beginning of my career. I created the software with the accounting system. Then I went to the user interface world for more than 10 years. So the company offered data grid, chat, tree, any kind of the UI components. So I know a little bit about UI and the UX there. Then I went to the cloud communication services, which you can make an API request to make a call or send SMS to your customers. Then I came to the Auth0. So I'm not the identity expert. I'm still learning, but I can tell you what I learned from in my career. So today I want to talk about the SaaS. So one day maybe you think that you have a great idea to solve the problem and your tool has not been there yet. I mean, there's no existing similar tools that are on the market. So you think it's a great idea to create SaaS for you. In order to success your SaaS business or your SaaS software, you need to launch your service as soon as possible. Otherwise, other people would take advantage of you to, do the same thing, before you, so that the market is going to there with them. So a lot of companies are using SaaS to combine the features that they need, which they don't want to focusing on. For example, my company provides identity solution for the consumer business so that you don't have to build the authentication or authorization features by yourself. And you can focus on the core services. So you started building the SaaS, you launch your services to the market, and what happens? That your SaaS becomes popular and you are getting a lot of traction, you are getting a lot of users, but one day the things will be changing. When your SaaS grows, you are getting inquiries from not single users, but also group users or large enterprise users. So in order to be successful or continue to be successful, you need to support those kind of the users. So let's take into look for those users. So first one is the individual users, who he or she that uses your services. Their concern or their care is about, easy onboarding, easy to use, the feature is good enough for their needs. So that's easy to support them. But when the group users to reach out to you, they may want to collaborate together, or they want to manage subscription. They want to manage user groups. So it becomes more complicated. And at last, enterprise users, which I call large organization, will be reaching to you. Hey, we want to use your software, but there are some requirements. So in order to support this variety of users, you need to support each requirement. So what kind of the requirements I'm talking about? So like I said, there are three types of the users and the requirements are very different. User onboarding, ease of use, or security, SSO, user management, access control, even with the auditing. But like I said, if you want to grow your SaaS business, you need to support these kind of requirements. You need to provide these feature offering so that companies can use your software. My question for you is it's not like are you prepared, or more like, is your SaaS prepared for these kind of requirements? That's why I will be talking about four identity factors that you need to support for large organizations. Before going to the detail, I want to talk one more thing. So what kind of the SaaS to support large organizations? To answer this question, I prepared this diagram. So in a SaaS apps, there are two types of the apps. One is the business to consumer, B2C. One is the business to business. First one, you can distinguish between two of them depending on who buys your services. If end user buys your software, it's going to be a B2C. If business purchases your software, it's going to be business to business. And that who going to be using your software actually. So one of the example is company business purchase your service, and the company will provide a service for their consumers. It's going to be B2B2C. Another example is business purchases your software, but actually the business serves the software to their employees. So typically, supporting large organization will be required in this B2B2E model because the large organization needs to comply with their security standard, or they want to make sure that their users to be secure. So I want to bring up 4 identity factors to support large organizations. So multi-tenancy, authorization, security, and enterprise federation. So let's take into look each of them. First one is multi-tenancy. So what is multi-tenancy? So whenever a large organization wants to use their external services, they tend to ask you for unique things. Like we want to use our own identity provider, or we want users to sign up themselves, or we just want to invite our users to your services. Not we don't want our users to sign up by themselves, or like branding should be aligned with the my company's theme or something like that. One of the ways to achieve this is to set up the single instance of a single customer. But this requires a lot of the cost or resources, not only for the setting up the environment, but also the maintaining, supporting the environment. So a lot of the SaaS companies choose multi-tenancy model, which you have the shared resources for the computing, and it could be the shared data store for the non-secret data, but they provide a different experience for each customer. With this approach, you can create a unique branding or unique settings for each customers, but it also requires your identity system to support this model. So whenever you started with a single user services, you may not have this kind of the architecture. But sometimes you need to think about, hey, if I want to support the large organization with multi-tenancy model, what needs to be happen? So you need to think about that. The second one is authorization. So authorization means who allows to do what. For single users, it may not be obvious because the single user does everything. But once your user has a group or large organization, at least minimum authorization will be required. So I'm putting the examples, administrators and members. So administrators can change their settings, their tenant settings, but members can't. So this is pretty much obvious, and this is pretty much basic. But depending on the services that you provide, you need more granular authorization. So one example is that you have the repository for the source code, and your customer is a large organization. The large organization has a lot of projects. So your customer wants to restrict access to the source code depending on the project that they belong to. And if they have the contractor, they may want to limit the access to the repository for the limited amount of time from like April 1st to July 31st. Then after that, they shouldn't have the access to it or something like that. So you need to choose the best authorization model for your SaaS to support the large organizations. So one of the famous authorization model is role-based access control, RBAC. Or if you want to do more granular access control, you can do the attribute-based access control. And recently, you can have the centralized the authorization logic and the authorization data with a relationship-based access control called RBAC. So I want to just touch on the RBAC for this segment. So this was introduced by Google a couple of years ago that you can create the relationship model for your resources. So for example, I'm showing this slide with the doc, owner, editor, and viewer, and they all have the relations. Doc has the owner, doc has the editor, doc has a viewer. And each operation, you add a tuple. So let's say slides is uploaded to the drive. Then we add it to the tuple. Carl is a viewer of doc slides. So with this model and the tuple, you can query the system where the person has access to the resource. So let's say Carl wants to edit their slides, his slides or doc slides. Then you can query the system. Hey, Carl wants to edit the doc slides. Is Carl an editor of doc slides? With this model and tuple, system can determine whether Carl has a relationship with the docs as an editor or not. Then they can provide the yes or no to the answer. And you can use that answer for the making a decision whether Carl can be edit or can edit the slides or not. So this is a pretty much powerful concept to making sure that you have the right authorization with the granular model. So let's move on to the next one. So third one is to support enterprise federation. Like I said, each company has different requirements. And I'm mostly 100% sure that if you are supporting large organization, they will ask you this question. Hey, our company is using some kind of the IDP, for example, like a Google Workspace or Microsoft Azure AD or Entra ID. Can your SaaS support the IDP? Yeah. So like I mentioned in the red, this is kind of must-have feature to support large enterprise. Also, you need to manage onboarding and offboarding. Like I mentioned before, some company want their users to sign up, just sign up the your services. Some company may not because they don't want their users to sign up randomly to your services. So to support large enterprise organization, you need to have enterprise federation feature for the must. Then I'm moving on to the last one. Large organization requires a lot of the security measures, like email verification, MFA, and even with a risk-based MFA. So let's say an employee usually signs to your system in Singapore, but 5 minutes later, the person is signing from Japan. It shouldn't happen. So you can adjust the risk that require for the extra MFA actions, or even MFA factors. Some company requires SMS MFA, some company requires the YubiKey, the hardware key token to sign into their systems. So your SaaS needs to support these kind of the security measure to support the large enterprise. And also that you need to provide auditing. So you need to provide a log for their audit because a lot of the companies requires the auditing to make sure that they comply with their security standard. So security is the another key to support the large enterprise. So until now, I've been speaking about four identity factors: multi-tenancy, authorization, enterprise federation, and security. If your SaaS haven't supported these yet, you may need to consider, if I want to support large enterprise, or if I want to grow my SaaS with a large enterprise, I need to support these. And last but not least, I want to touch on the one more thing that you may want to consider to build. So the last one is the delegating administrative settings to your customer admins. What the mean is, so like I said, each enterprise or large organization requires different needs, different requirements. What could happen to you? They reach out to your service rep and they ask the person or your team to set up the environment for the company. It's not scalable at all, because if you have the one or two large enterprise, that's fine. But what if you have like 100 large organization as a customer? You cannot do one by one for your members. So typically, the SaaS builds the admin portal for their customer admins to set up by themselves. So challenge is, you need to build a feature that support large organizations, and also you need to provide a way for your customers admins to configure those. So this slide showing our Auth0's management dashboard, which provides a lot of the features. You can set up the signing experience, MFA, or branding, or extensibility. But as a SaaS, as a service provider, you may not want to expose these features to the customers' admins. So you can use our management APIs, and you can build on your page to configure our tenant, as an example. So we have created the reference B2B SaaS application using the Auth0 and Auth0's management API to delegate administrative tasks. So for the rest of my talk, I want to show how it works. So let's dive into my demo screen. So like I said, this is the Auth0 management dashboard. You can set up the applications, or you can set up the authentication settings. So for example, I have the database connection, which is the ID and the password. And you can even turn on the passkeys if you want to, so something like this. But I don't want to expose these old features. So instead, I created the sample source, which is the admin portal. So let me sign up as an admin first. I'm going to use this email address. So once I started sign up for the SaaS, I want to create the account. Update. It says the verifying the email, so sending the email for the verification. So I should be getting the email here, verify email. So now I'm going to create an account. So in this stage, I can create my tenant. Let's say Apidays Singapore PD. There you go. So in this way, what happens in the background? We have the feature called organization, which provides the multi-tenancy features. So I let customer admin to create their own tenant without reaching to us, reaching to our support. So I as the administrator of this tenant, so what I can do is to inviting members, or like setting up the SSO to my company, or setting the security policies for my users. So it's something like this you want to create for your SaaS in order to support large organizations. Because like I said, you don't want to have the support representative to discuss with the customer admins for each setting and each customer. So what I'm going to do is let's just invite the user to my tenant as a member to see what's the differences. So I'm gonna send this email as a member, and let's go. Here we go. Actually, it goes the same email, but I'm just using it's in a different web browser and sign up as a user here and see what the difference is. So after signing, it looks the same, but since I'm the member, I'm not authorized to change any settings. So this is a simple example, but you can create this kind of a dashboard or a portal for your admin to set up the things. So like I said, you want to support large enterprise. You may want to consider the four aspects that I spoke, and also you may want to consider to build a customer admin portal for the sales subs thing. Okay, so this is end of my talk. I hope that you learned something to support the large enterprise or large organizations in your SaaS. And if you have any question, please let me know that I'm happy to answer. Thank you for joining. Enjoy the rest of the API days.